I hear everybody talk about the Tatulas, the Fuegos, and all the other Daiwa reels, but one that I don't hear a lot of talk about is the Daiwa CR80. And what I think is so important about this reel and why it's worth discussing is this is a baitcast reel under $100, which there's not a lot of good ones in that price range. So let's talk about if I think this is one of the good ones and if it's worth it in today's market. Before I go into my review, let's cover the specs on the reel that I have right here. So the one I have right here is the CR80 HSL, so it's the left-hand model. The gear ratio is 7.5 to 1. Max drag is coming in at 15 pounds. The bearings are 7+1. Weight is 6.9 ounces. Line capacity is 110 yards of 12-pound test or 100 yards of 14-pound test, and the MSRP is $79.99. Now, as for the features that stand out to me the most on this reel, the ones that were marketed were the compact body size, the carbon resin frame and side plate, and the double anodized aluminum spool. Now, as for looks, Daiwa kept this pretty much all black. There is a little bit in here. You've got some of your silvers, you have like some silver and gray on the top, and then you've got a little bit of gold accents on some of the sides there. But for the most part, Daiwa kept this a pretty sleek, dark looking reel like they do with a lot of their models, a lot of their baitcast reels specifically. They tend to get a little more colorful on their spinning stuff, but baitcasters, they keep pretty bland like this. But I like it. Daiwa really knows how to make a sleek reel, and they did a good job on this one, especially for baitcast reels under $100. Sometimes companies make them look kind of corny, and Daiwa did not do that with this reel, so props to Daiwa for that. Now, as for versatility and function, this is definitely a bass fishing geared reel. I'm sure you could use this for some light steelhead stuff, but for the most part, this is just bass fishing. Now, it is a pretty small reel, which I do like. It's very easy to palm in your hand. Granted, I have big hands, so a 200 reel isn't too bad for me. But for those of you that have smaller hands, it is really nice to be able to palm this and grab it really good, especially for baits like jerk baits and topwater and, very aggressive moving baits where, you've got to have a good grip on your reel to be able to use it. I think that's kind of nice. The other reason why I also would really like this for jerk baits and topwater is because of that gear ratio. Now, unfortunately, this does only come in one gear ratio. The only model you can buy this in is a 7.5 to 1. So if you're trying to use this for, crankbaits and stuff, where you want to have a slow roll, a slow gear ratio, this is not going to be the best reel for that. It would have been nice if they had different gear ratios in that line, but I understand this is a budget baitcaster and they're not going to include all those models, but a 7.5 to 1 is a pretty good all-around gear ratio to have. If you want to do just kind of like your average pond hopping, throwing Senkos, you want to, flip some jigs, up near some docks. Like I said, you want to do topwater, jerk baits, some swim baits, right? Like all of that, a 7.5 is a pretty good kind of all-around gear ratio to cover everything. Now, as for durability and build quality, the reel is named the CR80. I'm assuming the CR stands for the carbon resin, which is what is made of the frame and the side plate. It feels really nice. They definitely did cut down some weight with that stuff. It doesn't feel the most durable. It definitely feels, you can feel the plastic in there. You can definitely feel some parts are not like, it doesn't feel bomb-proof in your hands. And I haven't had real good success in the past with durability on some of Daiwa's budget baitcasters. I had a really bad experience when I was younger using one of their sub $100 reels that I got on a web. I forget where I got it, but it was like a closeout sale. I wasn't very happy with that reel. I haven't heard anything bad about this reel yet in terms of the overall durability on it. But I would just watch for that. I don't think this is a reel that you're going to be able to be extremely rough on. It doesn't feel like some of those Tatulas and Fuegos and some of those reels that are, a little more costly than this one. Now, for ergonomics and feel, that is where this reel really comes in and excels. For sub $100, this reel feels extremely nice in your hands. It feels very light. It feels easy to use all day. The knobs are very comfortable. It's a nice kind of soft plastic handle to use. It's very smooth to reel in. Overall, the features on this are very smooth and nice to hold. And that is one thing that Daiwa just kills it on. And that is a big reason why this reel made it on my top baitcasters under $100 list. This was very high up in the ranks. And that reason, right, how smooth it was, that was a big reason why it made that list. Now, as for casting, this has Daiwa's MagForce braking system, so it's going to cast pretty well. I still think the Shimano SLX is going to be a little bit better caster than this. I'm not a huge fan of the braking plate on those cheaper baitcast reels. I don't think this does a lot. I just set it to max and then forget it, and I use that spool tension knob. That is 10 times more important than that side braking, in my personal opinion. Versus on the SLX, I think that those brakes they have on there actually make a big difference in your casting, and they're much more adjustable and easier to use. So overall, I think the SLX has got it beat a little bit on casting, but like I said, that braking in there is still going to be okay. It's not a bad product. Now, as for the price, Daiwa was very smart to put this at $80. And the reason why I say that is because the Shimano SLX is a better reel overall. I personally really like the SLX. I think it is the best sub $100 baitcast reel. It comes in at usually $99.99, which is why I call it sub $100. And I think that it is a much better performer than this reel. However, Daiwa putting this $20 underneath the price point of the SLX makes this a very tempting buy, especially for someone that doesn't want to spend $100. All they want to spend is, $80 to $90, right? That's their budget. That is a very tempting buy versus going the extra $20 and getting the SLX. If it was just me personally, I would go to the $100 and get the SLX instead. But if you only got $80, that is a phenomenal choice. And if you're at a tackle shop or you're online, wherever you're at, I do have links to all this down below. If this is not in stock or the SLX is not in stock, I think both of them are pretty good swap outs of each other. Another one is the Lose Speed Spool LFS. That is another really good reel that comes in at around this same price point. I think all three of these do a pretty good job of battling it out for the sub $100 price point. I know a lot of these are my personal opinion here, so I guess whether it is worth it to go that extra $20 and get the SLX or stay at $80 and get the Daiwa is kind of up to you in the end. And I will have links to all those products down below for those of you that are interested. Let's go over the pros and cons of this reel real quick here. As for the pros, this reel is super sleek. It is super easy to hold all day, lightweight. It also casts very well, especially considering that $80 price point. And then also just the price point. $80 is a great spot for Daiwa to put this reel. As for cons, one gear ratio kind of stinks. It would be nice to have a couple other speeds on that. And then I question the durability on this if you are really hard with your gear. As for a rating here, I'm going to give this reel an 8 out of 10. I think this is an awesome choice for those of you looking for a sub $100 baitcast reel. However, I gave it that 8 out of 10 because I still think there are some reels that just cost a little bit more than this, but outfish it big time, which is why it didn't get that 9 or 10 out of 10 rating like an SLX or a Lose Speed Spool LFS would have gotten. If you guys want to see that top baitcast reels under $100 video, I will have that right here. If you guys want to see some good rods that would match up with this reel, I will put that right here for you guys. Hopefully you guys got a kick out of today's episode. We will see you guys next time on Humbug Videos.